Welcome back to my little corner of the world. You could say Keely's Corner? No, that's too cliche. It's a working title, don't worry, there isn't a theme song. Hey, that's a great idea. Anyway, last week we talked about how democracy sucks, and today we'll be talking about whether congressional or parliamentary systems are better. Not really, we're just comparing them. You know the theme song? No? Okay, well then, on to the video. The United States is fairly simple. Their head of state and head of government are one and the same. And you can guess who that is. This guy. Oh, sorry, no, not this guy anymore. Now it's this guy who is also totally qualified. Now let's look at Canada. Now in Canada, our head of state is... No, it's not that guy. It's the Queen! You heard me, the Queen of England. We are an independent, democratic society, and our country's highest power is the monarch of another country. That sounds reasonable. Now, as you know, the Queen can't always be in Canada. In fact, she hasn't been here since 1984. So, while she's away, presiding over the drama of her own family, the Governor General calls the shots. Fun fact, our current Governor General used to be an astronaut and she was not elected. For the Governor General, I don't think astronauts are elected either, though. So, our head of state and our substitute head of state for while our head of state is away, neither of them are elected. Sounds right for a democratic society where we elect our officials, allegedly. So, don't worry. Our executive branch is actually, generally, for the most part, elected, and it is made up of our Prime Minister, who heads it, and the Cabinet. Go away. It's not your turn anymore. There we go, our lovely graph. So, we have our executive branch, our legislative branch, and our legislative branch is made up of our lovely Senate, who is not elected either, who can oppose the executive branch to ensure that they are doing their job, but they generally don't because they are elected and appointed upon the Prime Minister's recommendation. The House of Commons is also a part of the legislative branch, and they seem to be one of the few areas of our government system that is actually elected. We also have a judicial system made up of courts. The United States also has a judicial system. Fun. So, another place where we differ is in our electoral system. Now the US is the one that's kind of confusing. Their Senate is actually elected by popular vote, and each state has 2 senators that represent them, no matter what their population size. So, that is different from Canada, where, as previously stated, the senators are appointed by recommendation of the Prime Minister, who, by the way, the Prime Minister becomes the Prime Minister as the leader of the party that wins the election, but the President of the United States is elected through a completely different election than the rest of their elected officials. He is elected through electoral colleges, where one person represents their designated state, and that gives us some distortion of the people, of course, because if you want the Republican Party to get in, but you live in a Democratic state, guess who your representative for your state is going to be voting for? That's not your party, so guess what? 5% of the state may want the Republican Party, but you're voting Democratic. That's how it goes. So, we aren't much better. In Canada, the Prime Minister becomes a Prime Minister when his party wins the election. And so if you believe that the candidate for your we don't have state. If the candidate for your province or territory is better for your province or territory, but he's from the Liberal Party, and you don't want Trudeau to be the Prime Minister, you may vote for one of the Conservative candidates, even though you don't think that you want to have that candidate as your representative for your province or state, because they're going to mess everything up in your opinion. But guess what? You did better for the overall country, right? Maybe? We think? So, another thing in Canada is that we still have distortion of the will of the people, like the United States. And we all know that a responsible democratic government is supposed to answer to the people, but the Prime Minister and the House of Commons who are supposed to represent the people, tend to represent their party instead. And then we don't necessarily have what's better for Canada or the constituents, the people. I don't know what the proper term for that is. Instead, you just have a party that does what they want, even though that's not necessarily what the people want. So there you have it. Both Canada and the US have two different houses, the Senate and a form of the House of Commons, and we both elect our governments. Kind of. That's what we're told, but we are not the same. Totally different countries, not even similar, right? I mean, they have two separate elections. We only have one. That makes us totally different. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. And hey, if you have a better, more original title for these videos, as I hope we're going to be doing more, let me know. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned about the Canadian and US systems today.